All right, folks, it's Wednesday. That's right. We are another day late, folks. Things been jumping off for your boy. But in the meantime, Dusty's in the dugout. I'm about to get this show started. But before we do that, we got to do this. The West Coast to the East Coast and everything between, folks. From Eve After Dark, the concerts in the park. You're live with your boy Lonzo. Godfather West Coast Hip Hop. We do this usually most of the time. Every once in a while, it'll be a Monday or Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, and I'm waiting on Dusty to come back into the dugout, folks. Hey, folks, it's been a very interesting week for your boy. The new documentary came out. And Dusty just stepped in. I know he's going to talk about it, so I'm going to stop right there. Let him. There you go. There you go. I don't know what you did, but it's cleared up.
Much better, much better. How you doing, my dude?
I'm doing fantastic. What about yourself, Doc?
Man, can't complain, can't complain. I heard you talking about the documentary, man. That was a great experience.
Thank you, Doc. I mean, what'd you like about it, man?
You know, I just like the whole story, man. I just like the fact, and I was telling my wife this last night as we watched N.W.A. all the way through, not N.W.A., but Straight Outta Compton all the way through, probably for the first time in I don't know how many years. I just watched it all the way through just for the fun of it, and I was telling her how, you know, it's crazy that if your legacy was left up to that movie, it would be a 20-second legacy, man. And just the fact that you were able to share your story the way you did. And my wife even was like, she joined me on Friday. She was like, I didn't know he was involved with all of that stuff. She only, as a layman, knows you from Turn Off the Lights. You know what I mean? She doesn't understand the whole background. So I just think that was the great look, is people who don't know your story, now they get to see your whole story.
You know, and that's what I do. That's why I did the documentaries, man. I want to thank my team. First of all, I got to thank the money lady, Miss Noreen McClendon, because that whole story right there, man, is amazing within itself. Professor Conley, my boy Velo, Money Train. It's a whole team that came together, and thank you as well. Thank you as well that came together to help me put these things together. And I'm just a funny person, man. I've never been one to wait on somebody to give me something, whether it was a record deal, a movie deal, or whatever. I mean, it's hard to sell. It's hard to tell my story, especially when it gets overshadowed by the people that I discovered. But they're not just the ones that I discovered, as you very well, you and your wife know now. And some of the folks might not be as popular, but they all have their own significance in their times and periods. Like Afro Man. Afro Man blew up. Afro Man sold half his publishing like $1 million. Left California, moved down to Mississippi, and bought him a farm. We got a bunch of green Cadillacs and green clothes and weed clothes. And he's from down south. So I think he moved to Cleveland, Ohio. Also, he might have a pad in Cleveland, Ohio. But he's been in the news quite a bit because the cops ran up on him a couple of times because he represents the weed world. And again, he had a phenomenal hit back in the day, and he still rocks to the son of a gun. In fact, I remember I was watching Lethal Weapon, the television show, and I'm sitting there. All of a sudden, the son, Damian Wayne's son from the show, sitting in the pool, and first thing I hear is, I got high. You know I got high. And I'm like, damn, I know what that represents, Doc. I know what that represents. So to have D. Barnes, DOC, Poetess, all these folks were around before anybody had any money. And that's the part people forget. Once you got money, everybody know you. Once you got money, you become the topic of everybody's conversation. But when you are up and coming, or sometimes you just don't make it to the next level, people forget about you. But that's not how history goes. You got people in your family that played one particular part in somebody's life that sent them to another level. They didn't go to the next level, but they did. Somebody else did, and that needs to be recognized as well. Because if somebody don't look out for you, you might not get where you're going.
Yeah, that's facts, man. Man, we got a lot to talk about. We may have a special guest coming in later. I'm not going to spoil the surprise, so hang in there. Make sure you guys.
I know him. He might not show up, but he was mad last night, though. Go ahead.
It's all good, man. But shout out to the chat. Before you guys get all comfortable, make sure you hit that like button. Just smash it for us. Let the algorithm know that we exist. And before we even start, I want to give a couple quick shout outs. I want to give a shout out to Antonio at Selfish Society for hooking me up with this hat at Lonzo's documentary premiere at Compton College. And I also want to give a special shout out to Craig Schweischinger. Man, I practiced saying that all night. You know, for this shirt that he hooked me up with, this is the original flyer for an EAZY E and N.W.A concert back at Skateland USA. He is the owner of Skateland, and he's online right there, then and there, man. Thank you so much, Craig. Appreciate it. Hit up Craig on Facebook if you guys want one of those hats or hit me, shirts, or hit me up, and I'll definitely connect you, because I got 5 comments that night, Lonzo. As soon as I walked in, you know, that this is our crowd, man. So they were like, "Yo, where'd you get that shirt? Let me check that in. Can I get one?" So Craig Schweischinger is the man to get them from Skateland USA, the owner, and these are dope, man. And they fit nice. So I just wanted to give that shout out real quick before we get started. Shout out Craig, man, the craziest white dude in Compton. Let's talk about the documentary, Lonzo. I took a few notes, man, and I would love to, you know, just you elaborate on a few things. I obviously have heard the story. Some of them haven't been told in a long time, so let's go ahead and just talk about them, man. One of the funnier stories, and you had everybody laughing, man. You're a great storyteller. But let's talk about going back to sending Yella to snatch down posters. Can you break that whole thing down?
Well, back in the day, man, and Craig can tell you this, probably one of the biggest offenses you can do to a promoter is snatch down his posters. I mean, posters were expensive back then. They're like 75 cents a piece. You had to go out there and hang them up. So by the time you buy them, hang them up, buy nails, pay a crew to go put them out there, man, you know, you could be, for 200 posters, it might cost you $400, $500 to get them put up. That you know, even back then it was not cheap. And for somebody to come up behind you and snatch them down and throw them on the ground or throw them in the trash can, dude, that was a major offense. And although I didn't have very many problems with regular promoters, you got a bunch of new guys who don't know nobody come in, try to be like little gunslingers. Oh, we're going to disrespect the big boys. Okay, fine. So Yella was introduced to me by a buddy of mine named Phil Luke, who was another DJ. And I put a bounty on everything out there. 25 cents, might put 25 cents a poster, 50 cents. I forgot what it was. That was a long time ago. And Yella came back with babysitting flyers and missing dogs and house for rent. I'm like, damn, I just wanted the promoter flyers. He said, oh, a trunk full of flyers, posters. And because it was his first time doing business with me, I didn't want to take advantage of him. So I went on and paid him all of them. And shortly after that, he ended up being one of my main DJs, because by that time, I was more in executive mode. I'm watching security guards, counting my money. I'm still DJing from time to time, but Dr. Rocket kind of filled my slot in the main slot from 12 to 2, and I gave it to Yella. And you know, because Unknown was working the bar, and he came in and he worked it okay for a while, and every once in a while he got stuck. And it's like, for me, I look at that as being like a relief pitcher. Sometimes DJs get stuck. I tap him on the shoulder. I got it, because no matter what corner he paints himself into, I know how to get him out. So it's ways to get him out, but everybody don't know that. So anyway, that's how he joined the crew, man. That was his initiation to the crew.
You did say in the past a couple times, I remember you saying that he was one of the bigger hustlers in the crew. He was one that got stuff done. If he said something, he was going to get it done, right? Yeah.
Yella, I'd give Yella my truck, a whole truck full of equipment, a van full of equipment, and he'd go out there and do a gig, bring it, take his cut. I get my money, and everybody was happy. I mean, when it came to hanging posters, I paid a fee for hanging posters. I paid for this. I paid for that. I paid for passing out flyers. So, I had a rate for everything. Flyers was one rate, posters was another, and I'd pay for all the gas, whatever the case may be. So by the time they got through, if you had a car, you can make yourself a couple $100 a week just hanging posters. And he would love the Saturday night, because Saturday night coming around, Saturday night was pay night. So Yella would get paid for DJing Friday and Saturday, hanging posters, passing out flyers. He would get, his envelopes would be nice and thick. A lot of cats' envelopes would be kind of shitty, but he was a hustler. And I respected that.
Shout out to Yella, man. Speaking of records, you were talking about earlier, one thing that I don't think I heard ever is the importance of playing records like Flashlight during a party and actually fighting other DJs, you know, physically going back and forth with other DJs over who's going to play songs like Flashlight. Can you take us back to that time and how important it was to play certain records?
You know, in the early days, man, we had so many different musical genres. We was just coming out of the soul and R&B, just getting into the funk era. Okay, we had disco. We was playing some all this. So as a DJ, you had all type of ingredients to mix into your gumbo of your set that night, and depending on what your crowd was, you know, you can get them going. But it was some records at that time just take them over the top. And Flashlight and Aqua Boogie, Flashlight, Aqua Boogie with some of those two of those records, man. When you played them son of a guns, everybody ran to the dance floor. And Roger was notorious about trying to. I'd be working from 9 till about 11:30, quarter to 12, and he'd come up there. I kept everybody on the floor all this time. I got it now. I got it. Man, what you mean you got it? I'm finna drop this shit. So he did that shit a couple times on me. So before he could come take over and get all the credit for rocking the crowd, I dropped that shit. He get mad. And then he started coming up earlier, and that's when Gig caught us arguing that day over Flashlight. Okay? Because I'm like, nah, I'm not giving you, because I had the 12-inch version. I'm giving you my 12-inch version. Hell no. I play that goddamn album version. So anyway, that's how it was back then, man. You had so many different types of music to choose from, and all of it was rocking, man. You had badass disco songs, that KC and the Sunshine Band shit. That shit was rocking Alpine Village. That Shake, 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 and Rick James had just dropped, Mary Jane, and some other songs. Dude, there was so much to choose from, but you had certain songs that just, man, you drop that summer gun, it's going down. And Flashlight was one of those songs.
Okay. You know, as a DJ, how hard or easy was it to get LPs back in the day to play at a club? And it seems pretty expensive. I mean, I've seen certain crates, and I mean, you start to count them up, you're like, damn, that's $1,000. I mean, talk to us about that aspect.
That's why I started working for a record company, record distributor, so I can buy my records wholesale, because it was too expensive. To go buy a record back then was like, about $7-8 for my album. Might cost you $7-8, depending on what it was, might be $8 or $9. Okay. Then they came out with the 12 inches, which was cool, but you only got one cut, or maybe two at the most. So somebody dropped a bad album, you miss out on the album cuts. But here's the next problem. Even if you had the album and the 12-inch, the album grooves are narrower. So when you play the 12-inch, there's a big sound difference. Most people don't realize that. If you play a 12-inch, because it's 21 minutes of music on a 12-inch on the per side of a record. 12-inch, whether it's a 12-inch or album, 21 minutes. But because it's only one song, the engineer can open the I call it the valves up and let the bass and shit hit a lot harder, because you ain't got to worry about making those small ass grooves. You only got one song. So that made the 12 inches sound much better. Much better. But you had to have, if you had two of them, that was great. But most guys had the 12-inch and the album cut, and it was a difference in the mix. You had to turn your one side up a whole lot more, and you still wouldn't get the same bass as you would on the 12-inch.
Don't think I ever knew that about records. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. All right. Something else that caught my eye, and I did know this, but let's break down the history of this. Talk to us about your first time seeing someone scratch, because that came to the West Coast a little bit later. It was an East Coast thing, as mentioned in the documentary as well. And Dre was one of the first people that people ever saw scratch. So can you talk to us about just the scratching and when you remember that coming into play?
That just like we said in the documentary, that came from DAV DMX. We had never seen it before. We knew Curtis had a record on a song on his album called AJ Scratch. We loved that song in Eve After Dark. That was a big song for us, and we couldn't figure out how to make that song. And when he came, Davey and Curtis played Eve After Dark. We asked him how to do it, and that's how he turned Yellow on how to do the shit. And then Yellow later taught Dre. Yellow was the one that learned all that shit. I never cared to learn scratching. I didn't have a need for it. I thought it was just, kind of strange, one of them things. And what the fuck? And as you can still see today, it's still very popular. What do I know?
Yeah, talk to me about that, because you're a little bit older at this time. You always a little bit older. So you see these guys put these expensive records on their turntable, and they're scratching and basically messing them up, right? I mean, how did the older generation see that? You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? Yo, stop.
You would think it would mess it up, but records are pretty resilient. Okay, needles are real delicate. There's not a lot of weight far as on the arm. If you look at a needle arm on the 1200, that something that is very, very light. In fact, as a kid, I had a buddy of mine. He actually would put real needles in his arm of his turntable and play his records. No bullshit. That would fuck him up, okay? But it would work. I tell you, something else that would work too. If you ever forget your microphone at the house, plug your headphones into your microphone input. It'll work.
Yeah, yep. Old school trick.
Yeah.
Damn. All right. Yeah. So, all right, let's talk about, you talked about it, your first time booking Curtis Blow. That was also mentioned in the documentary. One of the biggest rappers at that time, the king of rap, they were calling him, or something like that. I forgot what his title was, but he was the man. And you bring him out to LA. How did that whole relationship start, and what was it like when he was out here?
When Curtis first came to LA, he was on Mercury Records. My buddy he was a promotion guy for Mercury, and he tracked down the label, Mercury Records, called it with Russell. Me and Russell cut a deal on the phone to bring Curtis out for Christmas rap. That ain't my guess, so I got to call him back. So we cut a deal to bring Curtis out right before Christmas rapping. And that's what we did. And Russell asked me, could they play Friday instead of Saturday? I didn't think he knew anything about Roger. Somehow or another, Roger had connected with Russell and got them to come to play the sports arena the next night. And boy, talking about some more feud shit. That was some igniting shit, because I was mad. Oh my God. I didn't know if Russell was in on it or not, or he just was ignorant to the fact that sports arena was right down the street from the club. But Roger them didn't even put he didn't put any posters out. It was so short notice. He heard me advertise and Run DMC. He went back and got with Russell to do his thing Friday. Russell called me, hey man, we got an engagement on Saturday. I thought he was in Pasadena, Pomona, some shit like that. Come to find out, it was right down the street with Roger. And that just put a bad taste in my mouth for New York. And it was cool. The show was good, but they only had one song at the time. It's like that, and that's the way it is. The other song hadn't hit yet. So the show was very short. That's all y'all gonna do for $500? Shortly after that, they blew up.
Yeah, that's a host. And they broke your mic too. Did you mention that? I was typing. I said, did you?
Yeah, mic, man. Oh, man, I bought an extra mic for that event. I only had one mic up until that day, so I bought another one. Just to have. I knew there was two of them. Man, nigga broke my goddamn mic. I got mad because back then, man, every piece of tools, every piece of equipment counted. Doc. I got 40 mics now, but back then I only had two. And that one, he broke the brand new one. Oh no, man, I can't. Oh, dude, my girl had to hold me back. Dude, how you gonna stop me sitting around like that? Okay. But I tell you what, though, what did happen that was really cool. Me and Jam Master Jay, we hopped in the ride, went down the corner and got a beer, a technically we weren't supposed to have liquor in the club, period, because it was a teen club. But we sat in the office. He killed a 40 ounce. We just chopped it up, man. I thought I'm trying to pick their brains about the record business. Found out they didn't know shit. They had no idea what they were doing. They had no idea. So, well, I bought him a beer, but it was a good conversation nonetheless.
Damn, see, something that I never knew myself about. You sat down and had a 40 ounce.
I didn't
That's
drink.
dope, dude.
I never.
But
drank
he did.
I did, but I didn't. Not that time. I didn't. And DMC was super quiet. And Rum was super quiet.
Man, R.I.P. Jam Master J.
Jam Master J was the personality guy in that group.
Man. So okay, Davey DMX. That's another one that was brought up in the documentary. You just mentioned him. So was that Curtis Blow's DJ?
Yes, he was at that time. Yeah, he's also a bass player for everything Curtis Blow did. Fat Boys, some other stuff he did. A bunch of stuff with Curtis. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's a name that doesn't get mentioned too often. What do you know about, other than the story about him teaching, basically bringing scratch into the West Coast, for lack of better words? But what did you know about him, or what did you know about Davey DMX that you can break down for us?
That he's a musician. In fact, he came to town about a month ago. Came to the pad. We kicked it for a good little while, man. And
that's a good one to get on the show, Lonzo. He needs to tell his story, man. Maybe we could try to work to get him on the show. Just throwing it out there.
Davey DMX.
Yeah, because I don't know anything about him, and I know hip hop, and I don't know much about him. I shouldn't say anything, but I don't know much about him.
Let's see if he answers his phone.
While Alonzo's making that call, hit that like button, everybody. I know our live audience isn't too big, but I know you guys will catch this on the replay. We're starting a little bit early today. My man's going to see if he can get Davey DMX on the line to discuss bringing scratch into the West Coast. That's huge. I mean, think about that.
Let's see if he's available to answer his phone.
Cool. All right, let's see.
Bro.
Davey DMX, what's up, baby?
How you?
Oh man, I'm doing fantastic. Look at me, I'm here on doing my podcast right quick, and your name came up in the conversation. I said I'm gonna call him up, see if he answers the phone right quick.
Yeah. What's good?
You got a hot minute?
What's going on?
Oh man, tell them who you are right quick.
Dave cut the record down to the bones. The original DMX, Davey DMX, one for the trouble.
One for the trouble, two for the baby, one for the bass. Come on, Davey D, let's rock this place. There you go, Davey D in the house.
Pleasure to meet you, brother. Pleasure to meet you. We were discussing you because you came up in Lonzo's documentary as I guess for lack of better words, the person who brought scratching to the West Coast. Because before that, we had never seen anything like that. But you guys have been doing it over there on the East Coast, previously. Can you talk to us about what you remember about that time? Because that's pretty inspirational.
Well, everybody couldn't do what I was doing back then anyway. But I was Curtis Blow's DJ, so I'm just kind of pretty much trend setting. The first generation going around as a DJ that would know how to. Really, it was called cutting. Stacker came later on, but it's called to mix and cut. And then I guess it was filtered through overseas, then it came back scratch. But yeah. I was Curtis Blow's DJ for about 10 years or something like that. I ended up producing some of his records as well.
You played with the Fat Boys too?
Yeah, I did NGL, played the bass, and produced that, co-produced it.
Man, that's one of my favorite songs by the Fat Boy. In Jail, come on, man.
I love those dudes, man.
Man.
Jimmy Spicer, Bubble Bunch, and Dollar Bill by Jimmy Spicer.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're a real musician.
Oh yeah. I play bass with Public Enemy now. Gearing up to go back out on the road.
All right, man. I'm sorry to get a chance to hook up with you that day when you came to town, man. They had me busy in the summer gun that day, and I just got caught up. By the time I realized y'all was still in rehearsal, y'all was out of rehearsal, and
but I'll be back on the 19th to the 22nd.
All right, cool. Y'all rehearsing again? Y'all playing someplace?
No, we're rehearsing again.
Okay, I'll come by there at some point in time, Doc.
Okay, come on.
All right, tell Chuck I said what's up.
I'll come to see you. You know how we
You know how we do it. Man,
we got to get you on for a full in-depth interview, Davey DMX. We got to get you on for a full in-depth interview, my man.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Man, your boy, where is he at? I need to holler at his ass, boy.
Who is that?
The brother you brought with you that day?
Oh, yeah, Raul, yeah.
Man, he left me. When y'all left, I was done. I was done for the week. Boy, anyway, I ain't going to say what happened, but we had a good time.
Yeah, you exchanged numbers, right?
Yeah, I got his number.
Yeah, just holler at him.
I damn sure will. We talked a couple times since then.
Yeah, he's a move around.
All right, that'll work, man. Go on, do your thing, Doc. I just want to holler at you right quick, man. Much love.
All right, man. Peace, y'all.
You got it.
Appreciate you, bro. That's how it works, man. They always pick up the phone for you, Lonzo.
Oh, man, I try to keep my connections real strong, Doc. You good dude. We came to L.A., man. He looked me up. We sit back in the studio, and we set some shit on fire for a little while, man, and shit. Boy, it was a long day, but a short night. Boy, I don't remember nothing until the next morning. Anyway,
that's hilarious, man. Lonzo was hated. All right, we're almost halfway through the show, so I'm gonna remind everybody real quick to hit that like button if you have not already, and please do hit that subscribe button if this is your first time joining the channel and you like what you hear. You're gonna get the real West Coast hip hop history, and not just West Coast hip hop history, East Coast, all around. I mean, we have people all over calling in, so I think that's the best part of this show. So make sure you guys subscribe if you enjoy this. I have a question about the Uzi Brothers. Lonzo, can you tell us more about the Uzi Brothers?
The Uzi Brothers out of what's it, Palo Alto, California. They came to LA, and my brother was a fan of them. They played in a local band for quite some time. The original name was called Precision. They played the local band around the corner from my house, and they was tight as tight as pants on a hooker. And they wanted to get in the record business, and at some point in time, they would use my studio. They would use my speakers. They rent my speakers. They would come to the pad, rent studio space to rehearse. I got this big room back here, and a couple of them even rented rooms at one time. And we went on tour for a while, but I couldn't call them Precision, so I had to come up with a name that was kind of funky. And Shakespeare, I can't take credit for it. Shakespeare gave them name the Uzi Brothers, and it stuck. And that's how it came about. We toured together for a little while when I was on my Fast Lane tour. And, at that time, when they came around, they from Palo Alto, California. And they all grown men like me. And I figured which I didn't think that was going to happen, but I just wanted to make sure. I didn't have no backup. So they came along as not only the backup band, but an ass backup as well, in case some of my former friends decided they wanted to swell up because they thought they were going to be some gangsters. So anyway, but we never had no problems.
Okay. Yeah, can't wait for this documentary to come out, man, so the world can see it. Another person who was there, who has been by your side from the beginning, was Clientele.
Yes, sir.
Future mayor of California City, quite possibly.
Man.
Shout out to him, man. Talk to us about how Clientele came into the fold and any good Clientele stories.
Clientele won a rap contest I gave at Eve After Dark. I had a $100 contest, and Clientele got in there and rocked the house, man. Like he said, he did drop the first time we ever really experienced crowd participation from a rapper. He lit it up, and I pulled him to the side. Hey, what you got going on Monday? Trying to make this record? You down? He said, yeah, let's do it. He was always around me most of the time. He's always been a quiet, methodical kind of guy. He's never been buck wild. We were out doing dumb shit. He was always gone. He was never around. He probably had no. Well, wait a minute. The bus trip back home from Sacramento. I think he might have a little dirt on him after all, but that was back in the day. I had a manager. She had two sisters, and the manager liked me, but I wasn't feeling her at all. And that's the one that told them guys, I got $300,000, but I really got $300 for licensing a song to Dance Fever. And she told him I had $300,000. I bought a bunch of property in Compton and then get him that cut, and then told them that they, you know, don't worry, I'm gonna sue him. I'm gonna sue him for y'all. Y'all give me some money. They all pitched in, gave her some money, and she left, went back home, and never saw him again. Took their money and ran off. But yeah, that we got stories too. Yeah.
Clientele, man. What was his role in the group?
Clientele was the lead rapper. He was the lead rapper, one of the writers. Yeah, he did a lot of stuff. He DJ from time to time. I got video of him DJing. You know, we all took turns DJing. Now, I never DJed in the shows, but I would do the club thing was more my thing.
There was some great footage, by the way, especially of you guys doing a show, you, Dre, and Yella. You in the back, just hopping around, going back and forth, hyping up the crowd. And there's a big old security guard in the front, pointing at people. Who was that?
Man, we was playing Sacramento, and they had a club. It was half teen, half adult, and it had a wall down the middle of it. The guy was sitting on the wall when you saw him. And sometimes the teens would get out of hand, and Superman had to pop his ass up middle of the show. He was, you know, when you're out there on the road, you probably see him in regular everyday life. These folks would think because they got a guard card, they some kind of superhero or some shit.
Oh man,
he was one of them dudes. Okay, I'm Superman. Get out of the way. I got a flashlight, and I'll kick your ass. One of them type of cats. And that's what he was doing. He was just flexing because he could. Yeah, he flexing on the kids. You see, he was on the kid side. He wasn't on the adult side. He was on the kid side.
Someone you've mentioned in the past also, but she was brought up in this documentary as well. I don't think you referred to her as this, but your fairy godmother. She was very important during your time.
That was my girl. I still call her my girl right now. We still close. I still talk to her, man. I don't forget people. When people have been a part of my life, I stay in contact with them, man. I check on them. I take her out for lunch on her birthday because if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't do this stuff, man. I wouldn't be in a position to do what I'm doing, man, because she believed in me when I was a little nervous my damn self. Okay. And GD Military, I call her my fairy godmother because at that time, that's what she was, as far as I was concerned. And like I said in the movie, we never crossed that line. As fine as she was, we never crossed that line. I crashed at her house on the floor many a day, slept on the couch for 8, never crossed that line. But I learned, she's the one that taught me a long time ago that you don't cross that line. Okay?
Don't shit where you eat.
Don't shit where you eat.
Yeah, that's very important, kids. That's very, very important.
At 22, shit, my this brain wasn't doing no thinking. I was thinking with the other head. Go ahead. That head, big head wasn't doing no. That motherfucker fine was built. Shit, drove a Corvette. Come on, man. I need.
Yeah, man. And you made it through the age generation, Lonzo. I mean, whew, that must have been scary putting your penis and stuff after watching a 1 hour age documentary and the news scaring everybody. 84. Take me back to that time, dog. How did I was scared back in 92, and this was 8 years after.
84 was a crazy ass year, man, because Eve was cracking big time in 84. We was still hot as fish grease. They was talking about AIDS like it was a new pandemic. Technically it was. And because I grew up in the 70s. I'm a 70s baby. So in the 70s, I'm 16, 17 years old. And we went to the drive-in because we couldn't afford no motels, okay? We was in the drive-in smashing, okay? My buddy in the front seat, back then you had them cars with them big-ass bench bucket seats. And you put that armrest down the middle, put the armrest up in the middle, you got a twin-size bed. You got a twin-size bed, baby. You can damn near lay flat across that something gun. Your feet would not touch the damn door handles, okay? No bullshit, okay? Probably had a deuce and a quarter, man. A deuce and a quarter. Shit, yeah. The front of that something gun was like a 1-bedroom apartment. And we just, it was a different time, dude. And I've been very blessed. I'm going to knock on some wood. never got burnt on either none of that shit. None of that hot never got toasted. Never got toasted. And I was not that fond of condoms back in the day. Tell you the truth, I got kids, but I never got burnt.
All right, let's go back to a little bit before you even came around. Who were some of the Black artists that came before you that understood the importance of ownership, owning your own label, owning your own masters, your own music?
James Brown. What's the brother got killed in the hotel? Damn. They hated his ass. He was
Otis.
What Otis Redding? Was Otis Redding? Mother Otis Redding?
Keep going. I'll look it up.
He got killed in a motel right here off of 91st and Figueroa. Might have been Otis Redding. It was Otis Redding. Yeah. No, Otis Redding died in the car in a plane crash. It was another brother. Damn it.
Sam Cooke.
Sam Cooke. There you go. Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke was trying to tell everybody to own your stuff, and that's how he got stabbed. That's how he got shot by a 4-foot lady. Shot him with his pants off in the hotel lobby or some shit like that. Some more crazy shit. But James Brown was always talking ownership. He's always talking ownership. Before then, I never knew very more, but Swamp Dogg taught me. But Swamp Dogg was probably my biggest influence, and I didn't know him as an artist before I met him as a person. But when it came down to actually schooling me on the ins and outs of the record business, I can't give it to nobody but Swamp Dogg.
What were some of the things that he?
Well, I gotta tell you, when I first met him, I was kicking it with his daughter, and we had met backstage at a show, and he took me home. She took me home to meet her mom and dad. My dad's he's an artist. You gotta meet my dad. Blah blah blah. Okay, cool. And Swamp Dogg said, "Hey, boy, you got when you got how many days? What cycle you get paid in? What you mean what cycle? You get paid monthly, quarterly, annually? How you get paid? I don't know. Who do the publishing? Publishing? What's publishing? That's your money, man. I don't know. He said, Shell, come get this dumb son bitch out of my house. He don't know shit. No bullshit. That's what he told her in front of her. I felt about that damn big. But I tell you what, then her mama came. Her mama, if Swamp Dogg got a documentary, his mama, his wife was the gangster. She said, nigga, you don't know nothing about your own business? I said, I just got into the business a couple of months ago. I'm just having some fun. That white man got another, he got him another dumbass nigga. So from that point on, they made damn sure I understood the record business, publishing, licensing, masters, all that stuff. Me and her broke up shortly after that because I would go pick her up. She lived way out in the valley. I drive out to the valley, go pick her up. Me and Swamp Dogg get to talking. We didn't miss the 3:15 movie, the 5:15 movie, the 6 o'clock movie. She's pacing, man, sucking her teeth and shit. This dude dropping so much game. I'm not leaving. He on the road. Shit. We broke up shortly after that. She started going. I'd go to her house and pick her up. She leave with somebody else. All right, I'm gonna holler at your daddy. And we stayed tight. I ain't talked to her in 30 years, but I still talk to his ass because he had the game. And that's why I'm sitting here today dropping game on folks, because that's what I do. And somebody did it for me.
Damn, shout out Swamp Dogg. I'm looking at his documentary on YouTube right now. Gotta definitely check that one out.
That shit is hilarious. I thought my shit was funny. That shit's funny. I went to South by Southwest and hung with him for about 2 or 3 days as they premiered his documentary. That shit's hilarious. Swamp Dogg is a funny dude, period, though. He's a funny dude. He's 81, 82 years old, and he's still sharp as a tack. And, we kick it. And he's just a funny dude, man. He's just a funny dude.
Shout out Swamp Dogg. Thank you so much for dropping the game that Lonzo could drop to the world, because the world is going to keep dropping it long after you guys are, gone. Let's go back to 22 years old, Lonzo. At one point, I think you said you were 22. This isn't about the documentary, but it was just a story I remember you telling us back in the day. Before you recorded Slice, you said you had $100,000 in the safe and didn't know what to do with it. Mm-hmm. Can you take us back to that time?
1979, Cameo came to Eve After Dark. Eve After Dark went through the damn roof. Went through the roof. Packed every Friday and Saturday night. And I think we was charging like $5 at the peak time, but we kept flipping the house. And that's the part. Flipping the house means people come in, they leave, more people come in. Well, the kids would come in at 9 o'clock. A lot of them had to be gone by 11:30, 12 o'clock. Then the grown folks come in for the after party because it was only 3 clubs that had after hours at that time. And that was Carolina West, Name of the Game, and Eve After Dark. If you lived in Compton, Watts, Gardena, you probably want to go to Eve After Dark. Or Carson, you want to go to Eve After Dark. You come up the freeway, pass by the club, if it's still cracking, come on up there. So I was able to constantly make money, man. For me to generate, I don't know, $6,000 a weekend wasn't shit. And I had nothing to spend it on. I didn't work. And I would just stack it. And I've been stacking for like maybe about a year and a half. And one day I just sit down and counted it. I'm like, God dang, I didn't tell nobody. No, the girl that lived with me, she didn't know I had that kind of money in the house. My dad, he had an idea, but he wasn't sure. And I was so glad when some opportunities came for me to get rid of that cash. Because just having that kind of cash, you just don't feel comfortable, dude. And the first thing I did, I bought my first house where I grew up at, paid cash for it, 40 G's. Bam. I was glad to get rid of that money. Just went in there. It took me about 2 days to count it all out. Went to the bank, got cashier's check, cashed my sister, my brother, my dad out. And my sister, my dad, my sister, my brother, my 2 sisters and my brother. And I gave my dad a couple of dollars because he did something for his house. And I was down a little bit, but I still was good. Turned around and bought me a RX. I think I bought the RX-7 after that. I didn't pay cash for it, but I dropped some money on that. And it was good to have it, but to have that kind of money and have that kind of loud money when people know you're making money, but they see you make people could almost count your money. That's not good. And people was breaking to my house looking for the money and never found it. But that's the part that was very frightening because I was just hoping nobody ever tried to pull a fucking home invasion. They got that 357 up their ass, but still, they would break into the pad on Friday nights. They break into the pad on Saturday nights looking for Friday night's money. Never found it because I had it stashed in a pretty good place. And I had another little not really a trap, but a little detour right by my bedroom door. And I still do it today. Not by the door, but I still have this. I have a Sparkles water bottle, the old glass ones. And I don't know why I like hearing the change going in them glass jars. I kept a glass Sparkles water bottle in my bedroom. And a lot of times they would break in through the bedroom window. They see that, take that, and they'd be happy. They never look for nothing else. And that happened quite a bit. So I was afraid at some point in time they might get lucky. And I was glad to get rid of that money, man. And I kept money in the bank, but still 22 years old, and I ain't got no job. I ain't got no job. How am I gonna put this money in the bank and not get taxed? The shit's taxed out of me. So, I spent it little by little, and eventually I learned how to manipulate it and work with it. And then I bought this house over here, so I was able to do a lot more with it, lot more with it then. But at one point in time, sitting on about 100 G's, doc.
I'm at 22, and this is a 1979, 1980 100 G's. This ain't today. Okay, 100 G's is still cool, but
I bought every dumb thing I wanted: race car tracks, skates, Krager's wire rims for my cars. fixed up my house. I did everything I wanted to do, and I didn't work. So I was the only one home all day long. Folks come out and hang out after they got off work, but most of the time I'd be doing my own thing. Or eventually I started playing racquetball and shit like that. But again, I only had a couple of guys to play with because most guys had jobs. Then I started spending time at the club, working on the club. I started building stuff at the club, and that took my time away. Took some of my time up just building stuff. If you look at some of the old pictures, you'll see a sign that says Wrecking Crew. I built that. But with my hand, me and Dr. Rock built that sign. We had all kinds of stuff we did at the club throughout the week to keep ourselves busy, to try and improve it for the next weekend.
Okay. Like I mentioned earlier, I watched Straight Outta Compton for the first time in a long time, all the way through. Obviously, I've seen clips to prepare for shows and stuff like that or whatever. But someone that we don't talk about often, and he was mentioned in the movie, and he has his own story as well, is Sir Jinx. What can you tell us about Sir Jinx? Was he around your camp often?
Yeah, Sir Jinx was a part of CIA.
That's right. Okay, that's right.
Part of CIA. I met Jinx before I met anybody because Jinx came over here with Drake. And what I didn't know until later on, I talked to Calvin Anderson. Shout out to Calvin. His birthday was had a nice birthday.
That's right. 75th, huh?
70th.
70th. Oh, don't want to have 5. My bad, brother.
Yeah. Kelvin bought Jinx his first drum machine and opened up a little small pre-production studio in the VIP. I didn't know that. Kelvin told me that. So Jinx because Dre had a drum machine, but Dre had my drum machine, but he wouldn't anybody come nowhere near it, including me. When I had my drum machine, my SB12 in my studio, I could not touch it. Between Dre and Yella, I couldn't get nowhere near it. I very rarely program beats. I'm not a very good beat programmer because I didn't have much experience. I've had every drum machine known to man: 808s, 909s, SB12, SB1200s. But once they come out the box, shit, I don't touch them again. I can't. I gotta fight these two son bitches. Then when they left, Battle Cat came through. Okay, so I provide the platform for other cats to get good on.
I heard the SP12 back in the day was one of the most anticipated things to get. That was your dream to get as a producer. Is that true?
SP1200 was actually the one that was really, really, really everybody wanted, because SP12 was cool. It was the first drum machine, but it didn't have a hard drive in it. Didn't have a disk drive. It had you had to go buy a Radio Shack 5.5 inch floppy disk drive to copy your shit. And it took forever. It literally took forever to record. You can put save, go get lunch, and damn near dinner before that shit got through. So when it came with a built-in 3.5 inch floppy disk drive, oh my God. That was just, oh my God. Dude, when I think about all the shit I've experienced mechanically and musically, it's just amazing that I was watching this show of the day, Modern Marvels, and I was laughing at all the shit that I used to have, the big brick phones, the phone in the car that couldn't leave the car, two-way pager, a fucking Rubik's Cube. I never figured out how to do them damn things yet. Okay, but all this shit was a part of me growing up. But here's the crazy: I was a grown man when this shit came out in the 80s. I was 21 in the 80s. Okay, so I was 22 to 79. So yeah, I was in my 20s in the 80s. So I'm sitting back, I'm reminiscing at all the stuff that I experienced, and I'm thinking about in my studio how much old video I got. I mean, VHS tapes, how many reel-to-reels. People don't know the real. My son, what is this, Daddy? It's reel-to-reel, that son. What does it do? It's music on there. What? And it's to see all the different formats that have been developed over the years. They talked about everything from records to 8-tracks, cassettes, CDs, and how everything just got knocked off. One thing just knocked off another. And it's the same thing with everything else. Drum machines, man, They don't even call them drum machines. They call them workstations now. You know, they're workstations. They're no longer drum machines because they do everything. They play keyboard, sample. Because back in the day, you had to have a whole rig of shit, man. You had to have samplers, drum machines, samplers, sequencers. That shit wasn't locking in automatically. So it was a different era, Doc.
We've talked about this in the past, but why not answer it again? Someone in the chat would love your thoughts on this. Yo, Lonzo, this scene in Straight Outta Compton when Suge and his dudes is going off on EAZY, that ain't happened, right? And I'm just reading it verbatim. Or not verbatim, but word for word or whatever.
I don't think so, man. I don't think so. EAZY wasn't that he wasn't that stupid. I don't think he'd have ran up on Suge and some dudes. But now they might have caught him someplace. But I never heard them doing anything like that. I heard they was trying to get him to persuade him to sign off on Dre and him. And I think he did. I think he did do something like that. Now I think about it, Doc. He did. They did catch him someplace, but he signed the name Mickey Mouse. And yeah, they did.
Yeah.
And Vista Light 1972 asked me did I ever? No, it's Mike. Mike, did I ever wear a high heel?
Oh yeah, men high heel shoes in the 80s.
Oh no, man, I ain't wear no high heels. But I tell you what I did wear in the 70s. Nigga, I had some platforms. And I tell you what, them was the most uncomfortable motherfuckers you ever put on your feet. Because they're technically a form of high heels. Because the heel on a pair of platforms is about 3.5 inches, and then the platform is about another inch. So you off the ground about you get about 2.5 inches off your original height, and your feet kind of mash to the front. I never forget. I was so glad when platforms went out of style, started wearing flats again. I was so happy. My feet felt so much better. It was so
probably hard to get into a fight in those platforms too, huh?
Yeah, you can't
looking like two giraffes on roller skates.
You can't fight or run in them damn things, dude. You're not playing basketball in no damn platforms. You're gonna break the heels.
That's hilarious, dude. Hey, going back to, I want to give a shout out, going back to the EAZY E thing with the Suge Knight, and if that really happened in Straight Outta Compton, I want to encourage you guys to check out some of the interviews that Lonzo has on this channel, because we have a great interview with Mike Klein, who was head security for Ruthless, amongst a lot of other things, and he talks about that specifically. And then we also have a great interview on the channel with Animal, who was one of EAZY E's main security, and he also acknowledged this. And one common thing that they both said that I do remember is, if EAZY E got beat like that, there would be hell to pay. And so they both said that they don't believe it happened from their point of view.
I know people they have beat up before. He might have got jammed up. He didn't get beat up.
Yeah, different story. Yep, that's two different things right there. Hey, this is a nice message. Hyperbian Apollo says, your story is inspiring, Lonzo. I'm a 24-year-old from Scandinavia. Shout out to Scandinavia, and Sweden's in the building, man. We're international, Lonzo. But shout out to Scandinavia. Says, I'm a 24-year-old from Scandinavia and love all of your stories and how you help EAZY E and the rest of them. Dude, does it get any better than that, Lonzo? Real talk, man. Like, you're not a big old superstar. You ain't got billions and billions of dollars, but does it get any better than that, man?
No, man, not at all. I appreciate that, dude. I really do. I really do appreciate that, Doc. I do this for a couple of reasons, man. This, my dad, my uncles, my neighborhood guys, as a kid, I would love to just ease up to their conversation to hear their stories, man, because they had some of the craziest shit. And some people be embellishing. In some cases, they just straight up lying. But that shit was so damn hilarious. I couldn't help but be, I loved it. And technology has provided us a platform. We can share these stories from the 80s and 90s with y'all, man. And it's cool, Doc. I enjoy telling stories. And one thing I tell anybody, I ain't got a lot to kick it. Okay. If I'm gonna throw somebody on the bus, I'm probably gonna have tracks on my ass too. Okay, because I will do that. I ain't gonna make myself a hero just to make somebody else a zero. I ain't gonna do that.
Yeah. That's one thing you're not going to get on this channel. That's for damn sure. Lonzo's told several stories, several different times, and same damn time they're the same story. There ain't no changing up. Hey, Easy Steve will to know. I would love to know this as well. First of all, do you keep in touch with the Samoan twins, Easy's bodyguards, and will we be interviewing them one day?
I saw one of them at Easy Street. He said he would do the interview, but I didn't get his damn number. Y'all got it though. Okay. Jake and John, dude, them was my dudes right there. Man, them was some cool dudes. Both of them was cool as ice, man. They would come by here and kick it with Easy on a regular basis. Well, Yella was doing his I'm trying to find another word. His video productions at my house.
Corn.
The corn. Yeah, do the corn shows. They would we sit on the patio and play dominoes for hours on end, man. Just they do some smooth dudes, man. You know, and one thing about them, they stay loyal to Easy no matter what. You don't see them doing interviews, but I talked to him. I said, "Man, we got to have a talk." He says, "Yes," and I got it. Now that you reminded me, I'm going to get this number from Yella, and give him a call.
Yeah. And we've had a lot of first. Hold on one second. We've had the interviews before. Mike Klein being one of them. He was the first interview he ever really did on YouTube was right here on this channel because he has so much trust for you and your brand. He knows your legacy for Easy. He knows you're not going to spoil Easy's legacy. You know what I mean? Right.
You know who I talked to on the other day on the phone? Jaguar Wright.
Ooh. You see me just shiver right there? We got to do a Jed. Man, she has a lot of insight, bro. Boy, apparently, is all I'm going to say.
Her stuff is so deep, dude. Man, my phone being tapped.
Man, dog, right? I'll be listening to her sometime. Like, I feel like the feds are going to kick my door down, dog.
Yeah, I'm like, huh? She said some stuff the day, man. She knows a friend of mine. I called him to ask him a question. Hey, Lonzo, how you doing? She gets on the phone. I'm like, damn. She got to talking, just running off stuff about that case she had about the allegedly stolen vehicle. Well, she said she messed around there and something happened. Somebody she had rented a U-Haul and took it back. Went to take it back and she got arrested and for something else, and they tried to get her with grand theft or something like that. Bottom line is the U-Haul has been turned in, or was an impound, something like that. Anyway, Doc, I mean, just when you hear stuff on the internet, you hear the calculated version of it, and they put their bullshit on it, and then you talk to the person who actually did it, who was experiencing it, and it's okay, that makes sense now. But it made it sound like she was on some crazy shit, and she's wanted. She got out of jail and said 2 days later. They never talk about that part when she got out of jail. They talked about the time when she went to jail. They didn't say she was free. And that's the part I can't stand about the internet. They only go for the sensationalism, never the reality.
That's the BS. We got a couple more minutes, man. Let's wrap it up, Lonzo. Before we leave, I'm asking everybody to hit that like button one more time before we head out. But before we go, man, all right, so the premiere of the documentary is over. Compton College, it was a great success. What's next for the documentary now?
We're doing the Michaud Film Festival. That's in October. And in September the 7th, we'll be doing the Silicon Beach Film Festival right here in L.A. at Playa del Rey.
So I'll be at
both of those are local, and I'm looking to hear back from the Sacramento Film Festival. Hopefully any day now. That's usually in September, October also. So yeah, we got a couple more. We got a couple more we've been accepted to, and I'm looking to get. It's one thing to be in front of your hometown. I want to see what the response is going to be outside of LA, outside of Compton. When I went to Sacramento, we were a knockout for Eve, and I was there with a kid and my boy from Juice, the one that got killed right here. And we became buddies that night, just kicking it. Hey man, I love your documentary. Because they don't know our history. They don't know shit about us. Okay, they don't know nothing about us, and we sit there like I'm talking to y'all right now, explaining to them. They know names, Uncle Jam's Army, Wrecking Crew. They don't know the interactions of all those groups. We'll talk about that next week, though. It's time to go, Dusty. Thank you.
Yes. Man, that was a good one, Lonzo. That was a good one. Thank you, everybody. Hit him with the outro, Lonzo.
Yes, sir. Hey, folks. For those who never heard of me, I'm the first one to put Dr. Dre in the surgery, stuck Ice Cube in the freezer till he got cold on the eve after dark, 50-yard line at the Super Bowl. In the movie Straight Outta Compton, they played me like a hater of rap. Don't believe that Hollywood bull because it was all cap. My history goes deeper than you will ever know. Just remember that N.W.A. stands for Not Without Alonzo, folks. Peace.